Hi there, my name's Susan Fleeting and I'm on here today because I'm trying to get justice for my son Robert. And I'm going to read what I've wrote down because if I don't read it then I go off script and I get angry. So rather than do that, I'm going to read something that I've prepared. So forgive me for reading, okay? On the 4th of September 2011, our son Robert died under suspicious circumstances in a military base at RAF Benson. He was 24 years old. Nearly 14 years have passed and we still don't know why. What we do know is that the system failed Robert and it's failed us and it's still failing us. We made a complaint to Thames Valley Police, who issued a letter of apology, admitting that our family received a poor service from Dan Cartwright, who was the investigating officer. He received management advice and management training, but an apology and his management advice and management training don't uncover the truth. It doesn't explain the circumstances of Robert's death, and it doesn't bring us justice. New evidence came to light that Robert suffered anal trauma. We made a complaint to the IOPC that upheld every single complaint that we made and was told that an investigation into the investigation was to be conducted. Jill Wooten was the investigating officer. She decided that she would investigate Robert's death instead of the investigation, which was her remit. So she came back and said that Robert's anal trauma was a natural event through hanging. We asked her, have you ever heard of this? She says she's never came across it in her whole career. We also asked other medical professionals that we know, and they've never heard of it. The explanation we've been given is not only implausible, it's deeply troubling, and yet nobody's investigated it further. The police failed to investigate thoroughly, the military didn't investigate at all, and when families like ours seek answers, we are forced to navigate a legal system that favours institutions over the truth. We requested a different police force for impartiality. That was refused. We went to court for disclosure. We won the disclosure, but we received nothing from Thames Valley Police. 2.5 to 3 years later, we returned to court. We lost that court case due to the time limits from the first court case. That's no justice. That's obstruction. We're not alone. Many military families face similar heartbreak. When a loved one dies in a military base, suicide is often the default conclusion without a full and thorough investigation. We have met many families through SAFA, which is the Armed Forces charity. They have a bereavement weekend, so we went to them. We've met lots of families, and most of the families we've met face the same as what we're facing. They've all got questions over their child's death. Between 2005 and 2024, 281 serving UK Armed Forces personnel died by a coronial verdict of suicide. The Ministry of Defence claims that suicide remains a rare event, averaging fewer than 2 deaths a month, but behind each statistic is a family like ours, left without answers, without justice and without support. We have called on the Attorney General for a fresh inquest. We also want every non-combat military death to receive a full forensic autopsy, which is not the case at present, and a jury-led inquest. We call for accountability from both the police and the military, and we also call for a legal system that doesn't force grieving families to fight for decades just to learn how their son died, or their loved one died, sorry. If you died in a civilian workplace, a full and thorough investigation would be conducted by all relevant parties, your employer, the police and the coroner. The military seem to be exempt from this. We understand the dangers of military life, but this should not include a risk to life within the barracks in a non-combat regime. The MOD should not be allowed to be above the law. They are. And when families raise questions after an inquest, they must submit an application at the High Court for a fresh inquest. That's the only avenue they've got. There's no other avenue. The Coroner's Court is run by the local council, and there's no clear path for complaints or appeals. There should be an independent body. We have a chief coroner, perhaps him, who can investigate and make rulings. Instead, families are left with no option but to surrender an application to the High Court, which takes years. The chief coroner resides over every combat military death. Why does he not reside over every military death? It's a question. My family has been fighting for 14 years. Complaints to the IOPC all upheld, a fresh investigation conducted by the same police force. We took the police to court for disclosure, won, received nothing. Back to court, lost due to the timescale. Families shouldn't have to go through that just to find out how they lost their child. It's a disgrace that our legal system favours institutions while working class families are left to struggle and battle through what they see as an unfair and a very unjust legal system. It's got to change. Only change will ensure that coroners conduct a full inquiry into non-combat military deaths in a military base. Only change will bring justice, not just for Robert, but for every other military family that's sitting in the same position as ours. We wouldn't have got as far as we've got without the help of our lawyer, who we're so grateful has worked pro bono for us. Pro bono means free of charge. We also had help from our local MP, the previous MP. They've been very, very good, very, very supportive, and understand changes are needed. We've had a massive support from everybody on my son's page, Justice for Robert. If you've not joined it, please join. Please keep the fight going for us and for families coming behind us, because there will be many families, and there is still many families. So thanks everybody, and thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. And I'm sorry I've had to read it, but it's easier for us if I do it that way than try to just do it off the cuff. Thanks very much.